right, let me go in and make sure we're good.
Yay.
Let's see. Yep. I saw the, I went to your page last night and I saw, and I went to Augusti's. I didn't know Augusti was a DJ.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, he's actually a really good DJ. He DJ'd for my birthday party. I don't know.
That's what I was watching that. I was watching that, and so I'm like, what is that, Vera? Is that Vera? We were looking at the dates, and then she said, well, that's Augusti doing the music. I'm like, what? Yeah. So I turned on the sound, and it was a really good beat. We got 27 people.
Beautiful.
Let me see if we got sound.
Hello, everyone.
Let's see. Yeah, we're good. We're really good. Okay. So Katie Indicrow's in the house. Let me give a big hello to Katie. I know.
Hello, Katie.
We're very connected, and she knows what I'm going through. I know what she's going through, and we're on track, Katie. So I look forward to connecting, getting this thing going. I need to update you. By the way, Katie, we're having a meeting in 2 hours, and you're welcome to join. We've got some new developments. Let me close this door.
Beautiful.
Otherwise, we're going to be listening to the roosters crowing all over Hawaii.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, right. No, I just want to say a big thanks to Katie too, because she's been a big part of this integration we're doing. She is like the template for the channels beyond, the stuff
Beautiful.
I do. So we're making good progress on that. So for everybody, got 64 people in the house. We're making some good we're making some good progress. We really made a great stride yesterday on the website. We did go back to Be Live today because we had some problems with Zoom, and that's okay. So let's get down to it. This is what I love doing, and this is one of my favorite people to talk to.
Same here, Todd. Always love to be here with you.
Yeah, it's always so easy to talk to you, and they're always such a great response. Well, because we try to capture just the real stuff. You've been out there for quite a long time. Everyone, if you don't know, this is Vera Ingeborg out in the Netherlands. I'm Todd Medina, Soulspeaks 5D, Soulogy Network. But we try to bring just the real-time intel, and that's one thing about Vera that she's always done. Morgan introduced me to her about 1.5 years ago. Started reading her stuff, and I still go back and read some of the stuff on your wakeupexperience.com.
Nice.
And I was reading one last night on twin flames, which was really raw and real, and that's why I think your vibration is so well received by everybody. So we're just back to it again. This is our 5th or 6th time to do this, maybe more.
Yes.
And we're going to just talk about what's been going on. And I think we could probably safely go back to the solstice and move forward from there, or whatever you want to do. So this is a platform for you, and I'll let you take it over from there for now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Todd. Also, this time I was asking people a bit beforehand what were topics they would like to have addressed, and I got quite some responses. So it seems like it's all going to go into the direction of pure embodiment and light body activation, because that is what most people are struggling with right now. So it's becoming really physical, and it's a bit of like having a inner conflict with your physical existence and your energetic existence. So you constantly actually struggle a bit back and forth. And I'm going through the same things. It's not that I'm already through all of this, and I'm pretty sure, if at all, there's not very many people out there who have actually completed the process. But it's good to have a bit more understanding what's actually going on, because a lot of people are completely scared. Old stuff is facing them again, or they are facing old stuff again. Old chronic diseases come up. Lots of old fears are triggered, and this time it's really it's really only from the cellular memory what is coming up. And all of this happens because the energies are ramping up so much now that the physical body needs to catch up, whether the body likes it or not. But we're going also now in a phase where the whole physical existence becomes multidimensional. So we already are multidimensional with our energetic bodies. We have done our work with the mental and the emotional body, and we have reconnected it and aligned it with the universal energies. That's what the first two waves of like awakening waves have done the past 5 years, basically. But now it becomes physical, and now the physical body is, well, on the one hand, purging out a lot of old stuff still that is stuck in the cells somewhere hidden that we didn't even know of, that it still existed.
Yeah.
And the more we embrace that, and the more we understand this is normal, and we don't have to like go into an old pattern of, you know, thought spirals again, and we just embrace it, the easier we move through that. Actually, it's a lot about mastery now. And mastery means that we are now in our physical existence starting to truly embody the trust we have learned on the energetic level.
Yeah.
And it's really ourselves that are still not trusting.
Yeah.
So it's reteaching, reprogramming our physical body. And it's always a bit difficult for people to understand what that actually means. And I love to compare it to like a computer, like a server structure, actually. So you have the energetic information that is coming through the servers, and it's then you have also Wi-Fi and a mobile phone, for example. And so you go through different steps in learning to integrate that new software. And the first step is that you start understanding and getting these upgrades through a server structure, which is still part of a collective and a group where you, for example, go to on a weekly basis, you go to a meditation group, you go to, you know, communities also online where you feel, oh, okay, now I get it, now I'm understanding, I'm not alone. And then you get your peace of mind again. So that's the first step that happens there. Still on the energetic level. The second step then is that you start integrating more for yourself. So instead of, you know, just being connected to the server, you are more or less connected to the Wi-Fi. That means you can also get the information from source directly when you're just around that server structure. You don't necessarily have to have a cable connection, but you can, you know, even when you're not attached to a certain line, you can still find your answers there. And still you're still using methods, you're still tuning in with meditation or with, you know, like, whatever you do, art, singing, and so on. But you still need the method.
Yeah.
Up to a point when you actually go and you become the mobile phone, and then you're completely wireless, no matter where you go, even not Wi-Fi dependent anymore, but no matter where you go, you have your connection to source full time. And that is when you drop the method. When you start to understand, wow, I'm online full time. I don't need the method anymore to tune into any, you know, network, source network. And when that happens, you realize that everything becomes more intuitive. And that's the point when your physical part starts catching up. And now we're at the hardware. Now the software is basically upgraded. We have all the new information. Everything is running on the new operation system. But now we have to upgrade the hardware. So it's also there a little bit like, you know, okay, what kind of hardware do you have available right now, and how long will it take to restructure that or to rebuild it, that it will actually be able to read all that information. And that is where we are now, is that our physical body is catching up to be able to
I'm glad you're saying that.
Read all of that.
I'm glad you're saying that, because that's where I've been through. And I suppose, you know, because it was around December 13th or 15th, we went to a hotel, and 7 days after Morgan got here, and we were going to spend 10 days or so there.
Yeah.
So we sat in a hot tub the first night for 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. Everybody was in there. You know, we just walked around late at night. Hey, let's get in the hot tub. She goes, okay, so we got in the hot tub for like 5 minutes, not even 10 minutes. And she saw a sign on the wall that said, you know, hot tub closes at 10. And, you know, Morgan jumps out, says, we're going to get in trouble. But we picked up an infection, a viral infection. She had it for 10 days. Right when she came off of it, I got it. And this thing went from the root chakra all right up through our mouth. Yeah. Slowly went up. And so we saw it energetically, you know, what was happening. And I, you know, that's when I really started, for me, I'm just relating this. That's what I'm saying. It's really good to hear you say this, because I have been hearing since the 1st of January, when I started to come out of it, I'm hearing my body like I've never heard before. I'm actually hearing it. I'm hearing it as I guess I would say as an energetic vessel talking to me right up to this morning, you know. I just now got back in my body last night after what, 3 weeks since the 22nd. I picked it up on the 22nd. And so that's what I'm getting. So your explanation of now we're upgrading the hardware, and my body actually told me on the 1st, and I got it reiterated today, that your body has changed now. Your body is not the same anymore. It's actually it's turned the corner. It's different now. So I'm listening. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah. No, perfect. Beautiful that you have the same experience, and I'm absolutely sure there's so many others out there that have the same experience, and it's scary, because you really don't know what's going on, because that also feels very different from what we're used to from the energetic level. Yeah. And we have learned quite well to handle that. But now it's really when your physical vessel is just not doing the service you're used to, and it's just not able to follow your energetic being in a way that you would actually love to do things. I very often had that situation that I thought, I want to do stuff. My energetic part was like, yeah, let's get going. And my physical body was just like, no, fuck
Thank you. Thank you. I'm telling Morgan, we're on the 3rd floor. And 2 nights ago, I walked up the stairs, probably for like the 7th or 8th time. Yeah. And man, the last time I walked up the stairs, I felt like I was 150 years old. I'm like, I gotta go lay down.
Yeah, you get completely dizzy. You're super exhausted. Yeah. What also happens is that at the moment, for many people, an upgrade happens with the lungs. So you have this feeling you don't have enough oxygen, and you can breathe like you're breathing heavily, and you just do not seem to have enough oxygen available to support your muscles and your whole system. Yeah. Many people dealing with intense virus infections or flu symptoms. Yeah. And these are real ones. It's not that they're like the energetic flus that we know, the Ascension flus.
No, you're
real
right.
Ones, because now it's again upgrading the immune system. It's completely changing the immune system. So it's not an energetic thing anymore. It's really boot camp for the physical. Now
this is gold. Yeah, this is gold, because that's exactly how I felt. You know, people talk about the Ascension flu and all that stuff. Yeah. I never had anything other than like a cold or a sinus infection. But I told Morgan, I said, this is the first time, and actually this is by human definition for me the sickest I've ever been. You know, up until yesterday or whatever. But that's exactly what it felt like. It was undeniably a full-blown physical illness. You know?
Yeah. And it's important for the body, because that is really helping to get ready to be able to deal with all the complete new energetic environment as well. And actually all the infections you have now help to get your immune system in place. So it's no longer about suppressing either. That's why it comes in with a bang. You have no chance to take medicine as quickly as you would like to suppress it. So you just have to go through that. And it's not much fun, of course, but it's super necessary, and really going back into this understanding, hey, this is actually good for me. Yeah. Yes, I need to take it slow now, and I'm just going to take good care of my body. And what you do is you basically become the space holder for your own physical body, understanding it's going through a lot right now.
Yeah. And wow, this is gold. I'm glad you explained it this way. Now, I want to go back to something that you said, because it's part of what I've experienced, and based on what you said, I think you're saying the same thing. I couldn't put it into the words that you said. Okay, so basically, you were saying this is all cellular. Part of what this whole thing that's occurred for me, and I'm just giving my own take on it as an individual goes, so goes a collective, is that a lot of things the chatter, a lot of the little programs or patterns, and I'm observing this. I'm not actually projecting. I'm not like letting the story take control of me, but I'm like watching all this stuff, like these different things would just start appearing, like, oh, you used to do this, and this is what you used to do, and this is the projection or pattern that you would take. And it culminated this morning. I had a lift last night. Morgan and I had a conversation. I came back into my body. I went to sleep. We were holding each other. Next thing I know, I wake up. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in this lucid dream. And I'm in this lucid dream, and I see all of these faces. They're all masculine faces, just going boom, 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 boom. I mean, it was like this incredible supersonic speed of montage of all these incarnations. And the difference, I told her today, was it was weird, because it was I was removing them, but at the same time, the supernatural aspect or the pure aspect of each one of them was filling my space. And so, very much like what you said, the illness, the infections making room, I guess, for the vessel to take in. So the thing about the upgrading the hardware, this seems to be, from what you're saying, happening collectively, period. I mean, it's happening, and
it's happening. It's even happening for very unconscious people. They just think they're very ill, and there's a lot of like heart problems, overstressed people that work too much anyways, and they're just knocked out. It's really a collective thing, even for the most unconscious people. This is starting to happen because the physical body, of course, is subject to the upgrades. Whether your chakras are closed or open doesn't really matter. The influences on the cells is there. And it's, of course, when you don't have that consciousness that we have, that's even more scary, because you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, right. And even if you do, you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. But I mean, lucky us that we at least have some sort of insights and are somehow conscious about what's going on. But what I see right now is that a lot of people are really suffering, and they have no clue. Yeah. The good thing about that is that, and that is what I said a long time ago already, and it kept repeating also for me as a download, is that the first mass awakening wave will go the other way around, because they never had the access from, the spiritual first. They never had this connection. It was completely blocked. So the only way they can go is from the physical body, from what they know, and then go upwards and build it up the other way around. So actually their process is exactly vice versa from what we've been going through, first energetically and then body. So what we're going through now is basically the kickoff for the big wave that comes. And they work from the physical body upwards and find their way to more consciousness, spirituality that way.
Wow.
So
that makes sense, and that makes sense, and that falls in line. And I know I've received it, but I've also seen a lot of people talk about it, which is those who came the other direction, like from the higher realm down to the embodiment. That when this time would come, we would be holding space for those people. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me. I hadn't heard that before, but that makes a lot of sense. Is there? It just seems like the rules have changed since the first. I mean, we say that before. We've said that on the show before. But this is like night and day.
It's a completely different mainframe. So we have a completely different operating system now, and everything's different. And now you can imagine there's still a lot of USB sticks out there that still have the old information, but they cannot really plug into the new thing anymore, and that's why it's so confusing. We're catching up.
And I love the fact that you talk about it at the cellular, at the body level, the embodiment level.
Yeah.
Because I'm noticing the craziest little things, and they're like little things. It's like, when a woman gets pregnant and they have certain like things they want to do or they can't do anymore.
Yeah.
Like I haven't drank milk since I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Morgan made a dinner 3 or 4 nights ago, and I'm like, I want a glass of milk, or I want to eat this, or I don't want to eat that anymore.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing what happens with nutrition. Because when we were still in that phase where we had all the focus on the energetic level, what we did was usually like eat very light and vegan and plant-based. And then we had this whole phase when the physical purging started. That was during the last year. And then all of a sudden the cravings were just getting crazier and crazier. And you were like, okay, I don't know what to do anymore. I have to drop all of my dogmas and all of my rules because I just want a piece of fish or a piece of
give me
whatever.
a hamburger.
Yeah, exactly. The hamburger phase was going on. And lots of sugar because it's fast energy. So that was last year. And then all of a sudden there was another shift in December where it all of a sudden went completely away from sugar for a lot of people. And I've heard that from many people in parallel, that they just realized, wow, the sugar time is over.
Yeah.
And it was the same for me. And I was like, okay, where does that come from now all of a sudden? Because it used to be my spiritual drug at that moment, actually, because sugar was such a nice and fast energy. Until I understood for the physical body, sugar is the biggest stress factor you can have. And because it permanently keeps your hormones going on a roller coaster ride, so you never really have stability. And so I learned a lot about why sugar is basically the thing that kept us also physically trapped for so long. Because
that's
it really
so crazy. That's so crazy. It's so wildly divine that you say that, because I don't even think about stuff like that, but for the last 2 days, that's one of the things that's been playing out.
Yeah.
And one of the things is I over the last 3 or 4 days, I've craved to have a Mexican Coke, which is made with pure cane sugar, ginger beer, Australian ginger beer, and I'm like, I don't normally drink sodas, but at the same time, my body's telling me you can't do this anymore. Like it tastes good going down, but once it hits my body, I'm like, oh my God, why do I feel?
Yeah. And it's really understanding, wow, this is actually the root cause for all the things that are going on with our physical bodies, health-wise. Also, sugar, I mean, I learned so much about that in the past month, really. Cancer cells attached to sugar, actually, they're not able to survive when there's no sugar available. So it means like the less carbs and sugar intake you have, especially when you're dealing with something like that, the better for your body. It's also what I realized is I hardly have, I don't need food anymore, hardly ever, because I stopped eating sugar. So all the cravings actually just come from the insulin level going up and down and up and down, and it basically makes you want to eat a lot more than you would usually do when you would not run on sugar. And it's amazing to see that all the discussions we have of people eating too much, of people being unhealthy, having diabetes, being not active, being actually numbed out, because also the brain function or like the amygdala gets triggered, where our fear trigger sits, is permanently activated through sugar. And there's so many things, so it's a very clever thing to do, to just give people sugar. And it's no surprise that it's in all food available in every supermarket, no matter what and when you start reading the labels, it's just like, okay, sugar, even bread. In anything. And so it's really learning that that this is the root cause. And that sugar basically keeps your body from ascending. And it's been also a hard lesson for me because I mean, for a year at least, Coke and Dr. Pepper were my best friends when I was going through Ascension.
I thought they were going to be my new best friends, but I guess not.
Well, hey, it is what it is, and it's not that we're, you know, like going through the same stuff at the same time always. It's just I've really seen a whole group going through this shift at the same time. It was quite amazing. I even had a friend who said on the same day she started to quit sugar and carbs, just as we did, and we didn't know of each other. And she came for dinner, and then she was like, "Oh, I can't eat everything, and sorry, I'm a bit complicated." And we said, "Well, why?" And you know, yeah, no carbs, no sugar. We were like, "Okay, we did the same thing." Yeah. So and yeah, I had talks with other people, and yeah, it was a group, but that doesn't mean everyone is at that same spot right now. And if you're really craving it, then there's a reason for it. It's just when you realize, I only want it as a quick fix, then you know to watch out for it.
I agree with you. I don't too. You know, one, I see this physical. I guess we would call it a physical embodiment. You know, or the physical part of Ascension seems to be occurring at the same time. I go back to the 1st of January when I started to come out of this, and I was alone. And I actually, for the first time ever, I actually felt this expansion or elevation or filling of the vessel or whatever. I actually felt it in my body saying, "You just changed." And since that day, you know, like we'll sit down to eat, and you know, Morgan, we just got to a situation where we're actually started able to cook again. And she made a nice meal, you know, and she's used to like giving me all this food. And so the first night I'm like, you know, I forced it down. The second night, like I can't eat this, you know. And I ate I ate almost just a little bit more than she ate. I can't eat as much now. I'm not eating that much, you know. I can feel like this is not a temporary thing. This is a new game. But you know, people have been talking about quite a few different people have talked about 2019 is a year of expansion. It's a year of sovereignty. But I'm going to have to throw in there now, after 9 days, this is the year of embodiment. Where you know, we talk about embodying, but we're talking about the physical body being a part of this thing. And you said it earlier, that it's the body ascending now, which this seems to be the last part, the last part of this alignment, is it?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, that's the most dense part. So it requires more patience. The energetic transformation went a lot faster. It was also more explosive. And the physical just takes longer because it's restructuring a pretty dense structure. And you can't just, you know, like rip it apart and say, okay, we're going to like somehow put it back together in a different way if you want to keep your physical form in your human body. I mean, one way of nature is destroying something and then build it new. Yeah. But in this part of evolution, there is a reason why we are going through this while we are in this living body. And it really has to do with keeping the human species alive and not completely extincted and then start from scratch, but have a how do you say that? Like a more smooth process, which also in the end saves a lot of energy and effort because you don't have to go from scratch again and start with the dinosaurs. So
ease and grace, ease and grace, man. Yeah. So, and then back to the thing about, you know, because you said it earlier. So we went through this emotional and the mental, and you know, why are these things popping up? You said 5 years. I mean, why are these things popping up? You know, we got to clear them, got to make room. Yeah. And that's what I found kind of interesting over the last couple of weeks is these things that were presenting themselves in the old way up until, you know, through 2018. How we were, okay, it's coming here. Why am I seeing this? What is it in me that's active? But at the same time, this whole thing with the body starts happening. So it's almost like, to me, it's almost like one's fading out and one's fading in, you know?
Yeah, and it is. And there is a last energetic part that is triggered actually through that physical ascension that is happening now. And it's, of course, again, so beautifully aligned how that works hand in hand, because our last bits of unhealthy or unevolved masculine energy is really triggered, because we want to control this and we want to have this, you know, like we want to get going. And this is just like punch in the face. No, you're not going to do anything. You're just going to surrender to this, whether you like it or not, but you're not going to control anything anymore in your life.
Ding, and, ding. That's, oh my God, that's, I'm so glad you said that. We were just talking about that this morning. I told you what happened to me this morning. What happened to me this morning is not, it's not unique to me because I'm a male incarnation. What I'm clearly seeing, even in the initiative of creating Soulogy Network, even in the meetings that we have, you know, like we had a meeting yesterday, and we're doing that 3D masculine, and there was 3 men, but I would say certainly the other 2 men, even maybe more than me, very much in touch with their feminine, and we're having this, you know, this masculine, and finally, one or the 3 of us said, "Hey, we need to go 5D on this thing." You know, we need to go. And so, and Morgan and I were talking about this morning, she started talking about, you know, well, the feminine energy listens and holds space and all the things that we know. And I thought, well, that's the thing for these men, because that's a trip I've been on, is that her is in him. That when that wall comes down, when those things, like you said, that control and the fighting and the resisting happens, and it goes away, then it allows that other side to come in, and then you have the creative seed, the golden child, or whatever, the expansion. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's a toughie. It's really really difficult to just surrender and to not try to fix it or try to solve it, but really just sit with it, especially when you're physically sick. When you don't feel well, you just want to get over it. And it's not possible. It's really sit with it, have the patience. And if your body just wants to sleep, let it sleep. Your mission, your projects, everything can wait. It's, as soon as you try to force something, or as soon as you try to fight against something, it hits back so hard. And it manifests in an even much worse way. So it's really about learning to not react.
And you know, and as everything is a representation energetically, and I'm telling this story too. It's not about me. It's because what you're talking about is exactly what I've been going through. So I had this thing happen, and it was around a couple of days before the end of the year, and I was in this situation. I was already sick. I was around a very masculine energy, and who was really in my face. And so I'm physically sick, and I have to go I'm actually laying on the ground, feeling like I'm going to have a seizure. I had a history of seizures in my life for about 30 years. And I thought, what the hell's going on? So I'm laying on the ground by myself, and I'm saying to the universe, okay, I'm totally vulnerable. I'm totally, I surrender, I trust. And then I hear, get up and go have this conversation. So I'm like, oh shit. So I get up, I walk over, I tell the person, I need to talk to you. As soon as that energy came at me, I had to lay on the ground while this person is coming at me. And that's what I experienced. I experienced this energetic thing of acceptance, of not reacting, of being vulnerable, but at the same crazy, wildly divine moment, I was in my power, but I was like I was literally lifeless. I was defenseless, you know, but that to me is for me, it was a really powerful representation of what surrendering to the embrace is, you know? Wow. And so where does the creative element come in now with all this?
Well, the creative element, the past 2 weeks were not really, there was not much creative energy coming through. Of course, it's always available, but when you're so busy with just going through this, you know, deep transformation at the same time, the body triggers through illnesses, you're just weaked out. And then we had this huge geostorm at the beginning of the year, which was caused by something we don't even know. It's been a completely new energy,
Wow.
and I've seen pictures of, you know, nebulas that were taken in space. Nothing like that ever existed, and nobody really knows where this came from. And there's speculation. It certainly wasn't the sun. This is what's so weird about it. So it has to be somewhere from, you know, like intergalactic space. And yeah, so we really felt that, and we were all knocked out beginning of the year in one or the other way.
Thank God it wasn't just me.
Yeah, it can also manifest as a complete bliss phase. It always depends kind of where you're at. But for most people, this was really like a, okay, I am completely dizzy. I have no idea what's going on right now, and I just want to make it, you know, like to bed and sleep. So it's the creative energy just had a pause, and since yesterday, I feel it coming back. And another thing that will be a big challenge, and it already started last year, is being truly ready for co-creation.
Yeah.
And we learned that also in our project, and we talked about that a couple of times, but it's really amazing how you see when you set a code that is really a DNA for a project that is so clean and really based on these new frequencies, then you as the physical individual, you start a dance with this project energetically. And everything that is not clean and that is not aligned with that high frequency code just comes to surface, whether you like it or not. If you want to be part of this, you're going to be triggered endlessly until this is gone. And it happened for Agusti and me as well. And we just had to learn, okay, this is not my project anymore, or his project, or our project. This is an organism that has a DNA on its own. It has a structure of its own. It has a flow of its own. And we, as the ones who set it up, we can either be part of it or not. But it's not that we can drive it. And that was a big learning for us. And we're really going back to a natural way of co-creating. But as long as we still have with ego topics, and we all have them, we all, you know, like we think, okay, we're so advanced and we're so ready, but then we struggle with when somebody uses our copyright or a copyrighted thing and uses it somewhere else. Yeah, where is copyright when everything comes from one source? Exactly. And when everything is a co-creation? So it's like all these triggers we have to deal with. And also, like, you join like a project of like ours, and then you want to put your project in, but then you just realize, oh, but when I do this, then my project is actually not my project anymore. But it's, you know, like really letting go of this attachment you have to what you created, and detach from identifying with it as it being just your own creation, understanding, no, it's a creation that you had a download for it and you put it into a certain form, but you would have never been able to do that without all the other people that also have collected experiences that are then available for you from the big server structure. So it's really this letting go of all these personal identity issues until you're completely clean. And and the last bits sit in the physical body, in the cellular memory, where you still identify with stuff. Another common thing right now is that people so identify with their trauma and with their pain that they have, that it's hard for them to let it go and just say, okay, I'm going to get over this and I'm not going to identify with this. Because it's scary when you don't have anything anymore to identify with, and then you just feel like, okay, who am I?
Yeah, I know, man. We had this. Morgan just put up a comment. He's talking about we had this. We discussed this last night. We've actually discussed this before, but last night for me was a real breakthrough moment. And what you just said, we were talking. She goes to take a bath. I'm like in this state of, you know, what just happened? I'm back in my body.
Yeah.
But you said something, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I was talking about the mirror of what, you know, the mirror of me that is her, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about finding humility and innocence, the genuineness of my soul. But I go on to say, you know, it's not what I thought or what I might think, but innately what I know, what I've always known, vulnerability knowing nothing, stripped till nothing's left, born again, this resurrection eclipses and takes my identities. I've lost all these masks to find from nothing, everything, till the only challenge and fear left is that of my very own power, because that's what she asked me. She's a couple days ago, she goes, are you still afraid of your own power? And I'm like, of course, the masculine came out, you know, I didn't say anything, but I was like, no, hell no, I'm not afraid of my power. But then I got to thinking about the depth of that. Yeah. And I thought, well, wow, that is the key. You know, that is the key. She talked about the key in the lock, but that is the key to the immortality, is not to be afraid of our power. So like you're talking about with someone who's associating themselves with a trauma or an illness, it's really got it. We're at a point now where where we have changed, and we can say, F it, that's not me. And boom, it can be gone just like that.
Yeah, exactly. The moment you get that hang out of it, and the moment you realize, no, this is not me, and I don't have to identify with this, you snap out of that so quickly. But it's really, it's a process. It's not that you can just do that when there's still attachments in your system. You just got to go through that emotional release, whether you like it or not. But emotion is always the key to release the stuff that is still anchored somewhere in your system. And
the physical, and the
physical, But the emotion is the key. The emotion is always what transforms the energy, whether it comes from the physical, whether it comes from the emotional. It's not the meditation that does it. The meditation is peace of mind. You can, you know, like calm yourself down and get the stress level down in your system, in your body, but you will not transform the pattern with it. No. That is what needs the emotion.
Yeah, I agree with that. And but in what you've brought up though is this: there's something about the cellular that's changed now. The cellular, the body, and one thing that through this, what's happened to me over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I knew with what was happening, even watching her go through it first, I knew that that space was being created. And like you said earlier, I'm getting a huge validation, but like you said earlier, no medicine, you just got to go through it. You know, And another thing I kept hearing too was, you don't have to understand this. Just go through it. You know.
And that's the biggest challenge for the last bits of the unhealthy masculine, is to not have to understand it, because the masculine mind will always try to understand everything until you really retrain it into surrender and to say, hey, it's okay, you don't have to understand this. And I still love you, and we're totally fine with that. So
that's a tough one too.
That's a tough one.
How can you love me when I don't have anything left? All my masks are gone.
Yeah. What? I don't have any solutions and you still love me? That's not possible. Yeah.
She was talking about, you know, she tells me this, you know, like we're 10 days in, and I haven't been myself, you know. So she said, I'm watching you, and you would feel good, and then you would jump into the work mode, and you're doing this and you're doing that. And she's telling me this. I'm watching the movie play in my head. I'm like, oh, that's what I wasn't present, but it was that pattern that I've always done, that so many of us done, regardless of the physical incarnation. And you're right. It's that false masculine that's trying to control and frame up and understand and all that. It's not going to work, man. It's straight intuitive. It's that straight women's intuition, if you want to call it that. You know, it's that straight connection, that mainline connection.
And I mean, it's not even, I don't even think that false masculine is the right word. It has had its purpose in that lower dimension, because that was the only way to survive in that reality. You needed to have a strong control factor, and you needed to have this, you know, it was the balancing factor between the two unevolved ones. They were just not having that inner union where we're headed to now, to really have that inner balance within ourselves, so that we do not crave the energy outside of us anymore. And that was what was basically before the balance. I mean, the universe is always in balance, also when we talk about imbalance, but then it's just whether the balance is inside of you or you need to find the balance outside of you. But in total, no matter what you look at, it's always in balance.
Great explanation.
And yeah, it's just a different way of finding balance. I mean, we have balance in the financial system because there's a few very rich people that have all the money abundance, and there's a lot of people having next to nothing. But in the end, it's a balance. Yeah. And yeah, it's just a different way of seeing it. But the universe is never not in balance. Yeah. So it's more us thinking everything's out of balance.
True. Well, like you said, it's a new game now. It's a new realm.
Yeah,
and
it is.
And I've been getting like, the de-emphasis on. I'm watching this stuff like they're going to put a wall up, but at the same time, the personal sovereignties in individuals is expanding, which is going to totally eliminate all borders. I mean, I can see more clearly now that we'll have physical evidence of our personal transformational power as it affects the collective.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important to understand that the physical ascension is such a vital part of it, because only then we're able to walk multidimensionally through all the different dimensions. And we're not here to separately build a world that is completely detached and has nothing to do with the old realm. No, it's not like that. It's really like we are being a virus that really actively steps into that old dimension that actually doesn't exist anymore. It just exists in the hardware of every single individual that is still walking there. But the system itself is already gone, the operating system. True. So it's really about walking into that dimension and into that old system and infecting it. We're really copying the way a virus works, but we use it as a love virus, so to say. Yeah. So every time we do something in that old realm, we touch people, we take a job. I also had very clear messages for people, if you feel like taking on a regular job, go and do it. Then there is a reason for it, why you have that impulse. And it's really about understanding, no, we're not gonna, build something and say, hey, we know better, we know how this works. No, we're gonna reconnect with that other realm, and we will systematically transform it, but by using those hosts, because then it's much easier. Instead of trying to do it alone, we're just going to use the hosts that will love our ideas. As soon as they understand what we're up to and what we're doing, they're going to be very willing to spread that message and to spread that new way of living. So what we do is we go back in there and we just inspire people and show them that there is a different way, without having to convince, just by being. Yeah. And that is what already is very attractive. So,
what's it like over the last 3 or 4 weeks going through all of this, the physical and all the stuff you're talking about with a partner?
Oh, it's been actually, that's been the nice part. We've had a lot of less struggles because the past year, I mean, we talked a couple of times. We had a past year, like huge burst outs of energy, and we were like, not that we almost killed each other, but we had one situation where Agustin said, I'm just going to go back to Spain. And I said, how? You don't even have a car and you don't have money. And he was like, I'm going to walk.
Oh, shit.
So we had a couple of situations where you just get so triggered.
Yeah.
But that really feels like the past. It's really we've learned so well to balance the energies between us, and even if there is a trigger, we own it immediately, so it's no more projection on the partner. So that has really changed, and it's the more you work through your old patterns that still somehow are in your cells, the more you release them, the more beautiful and the more connecting it gets. And you can just really feel not only on the energetic level now that connection, but also on the physical level. It becomes more and more, a oneness. It's beautiful.
That's what we've experienced the last 30 days. We remarked several times, as we come up for air, like, what the hell just happened, and we'll say, one thing that's happened is we've gone through this, like one goes through it, another one goes through it. There was period of about 48 hours a couple of days ago where I think everybody was feeling something, and we haven't projected. You know, we've held space. We've had to go. You know, had to be alone a little bit, but there's been no projection. There's been no acting out. It's just been it's different. Like you said, it's almost like that other part's over. Which again, I think it's maybe reflective of the collective energy as well.
I don't think it's like wave related. So people who are in a relationship or have been in a sacred partnership during the past year, I think they really have grown in that way. For other people, it was the inner union first, and now I'm absolutely sure this year we're going to see a lot more divine partnerships.
I think so too,
because the energy is so balanced and clean now that you actually, you know, can enter something like that, because it's just, before that it's not possible. You reject that energy.
You create the space essentially, and then the vessel can be filled. With that partner, with that mirror. I agree with you. I think, and I've actually seen a few popping up already. You know, these miraculous stories and stuff. You know. We have a very close friend who had I'm not even going to tell the story because it's so fairy tale-ish, but I think that's what we're moving into. You know, this magic is it's a magic, and that to your point, and that was so eloquently put. It's not going to be that masculine that got us to the point. You know, that masculine that helped us survive within us. You know, it's that's got to be let go, and that's where that magic. It's not like we create the magic; it's like the magic is coming to us.
Exactly. And that's when you realize, okay, everything is from the inside out. The more you have that inner union within you, the more beautiful becomes the sharing with not only a partner but with everyone around you. And only then we can truly co-create from a very clean, high frequency space. And it's also having that patience and that trust. The process is the process. It's evolution. It's not that we need to force this or that we need to hurry up. And if I don't feel like it right now, okay, my mission can wait. It's going to happen exactly at the right time. And really learning to trust these impulses that you have. And when the impulse is, oh, I'm just going to sleep. And just sleep. You know, it's really learning. It's always perfectly in order. And we don't have to be busy with how this is going to look like or how is this going to manifest or change. The how is really not relevant. It's that deep inner knowing that is
and even
relevant.
the when's not relevant.
No, when there's no time, the linear thing disappears more and more. It's funny when I observe like conversations now. I had a couple of like people here for my birthday, all, you know, having gone through a lot of process the past years. And it's amazing how the conversations change because they're so non-linear. So people are, you know, they start at one end and then you are somewhere completely else. But in the end, it all comes together and you have the big picture. But you're no longer staying in just one linear kind of like information line or storyline. It's really like everyone is, for other people, it must sound like they're all over the place. But when you are there, you just get everything. It's like your mind.
Dream state.
Your mind shifts into this parallel mode, and at the same time, you have less and less memory capacity, which is also weird for people because when you fully live from the now and you have this parallel reality thing going on with all these different possibilities, you do not need the linear experience anymore. So you just don't need to go back to an experience you had to take it as a basis for what you're going through now. You don't need any of this because you have access to everything all the time. So your linear memory dissolves more and more, and which is also scary for people because they think they have Alzheimer or whatever. Which is not the case. It's just shifting into parallel mode. And the same happens with the future. You're worried less and less about future because you actually know it doesn't exist in the way we thought.
So I got to ask you about the like I said, I went to your page last night and we started watching the videos of the dancing and Augusti DJing. Using
nice.
using vinyl, by the way. I could tell. I got to give him big props. I don't know if he's there, but
no. Well, maybe he's watching upstairs. I don't know.
But yeah, big props because I'm old school too. You know, I spent a lot of time dancing and the DJs. But I was going to ask you along the lines of what you're just saying. So I noticed Lindsay was there. I love her stuff. I share a lot of her stuff, and I saw Marco there.
Yeah, he was also there.
So what's it like to be in that? Like, what was it like to be there that night to actually be around people like Lindsay and Marco and Augusti? You know, and what was that like? I mean, was it like being in a dream? Was it totally non-linear? What was that like?
It is very non-linear. Like I said, the conversations are really non-linear, and it was super authentic and playful. It was kind of like a children's birthday party. We just played. We had not some. Yeah, of course, you have conversations about what's going on and stuff, and that can go deep. But in the end, what we did was we were singing, you know, SingStar karaoke, and we had this dance party going on, and we just had tons of fun. And that's another thing that is so important because we went through so much stuff in the past years. And at some points we really thought, this whole spiritual journey is such a burden. And a lot of people still believe that it's a burden. And the more you integrate fun again and playfulness, and really, in the beginning you really have a bit of that situation that you have to act as if and fake it till you make it, kind of, to get back to the fun factor and get access to being playful. And it's difficult in the beginning, but the more you get access to that, the lighter it gets. And this playfulness can help you with anything. It's for me also dealing with pain, when you do it with the eyes of a child and you just more go into playful observing mode and the trial and error. Okay, let's see, how do I deal with this? Instead of interpreting it as something, you just observe it and you just, go on this exploration adventure that you used to do when you were a kid. And the more you get back into this innocent, playful energy, the closer you get to the frequency where you want to be full time. So it's learning also, hey, actually, we're here to have fun. A lot of people have completely forgotten about that. Yeah.
And there's degrees of everything. But that's nothing that happened to me last night. And I told Morgan when I hooked back up with her, I said, how many times am I gonna wake up and say and realize how uptight I've been? and I love to laugh and have a good time and everything, but I guess there's degrees of it. But I realized that last night that no, you just came back in your body, but at the same time you just relaxed. Like you just let go of all this. It's like letting all the air out of a balloon. It was just like, wow, God, And for the human, I'm going, God, how can you be so, so dense? But I guess, we've got to take it easy on that, aspect of ourselves.
Even that is acceptance and not trying to fix that or control it. It always goes back to the masculine part that still wants to be transformed. And
I love what you said, because you give respect to that masculine that carried us to this, to the point where we could start to make this leap a few years ago. Giving it and that's one thing I've noticed too. It's like, and I didn't say it quite the way you did on the show, but I was kind of saying it yesterday, which was, I'm watching this part of like in the montage that happened this morning, I was watching these incarnations come in, and I was releasing that part that no longer served. I wasn't disrespecting them, and I wasn't divorcing myself, but what was happening was simultaneously the other part was coming in. And maybe that's a balance, I don't know, but it was like the new part of it was coming in, the unused part of it was coming in.
We definitely are in the final balancing for the inner union. And it's beautiful to feel that. It really is. It's hard to imagine that you ever felt a different way, also like things like jealousy and like attachment and longing. And it's really funny how I remember that I was there in my own twin flame journey, and that I just could not believe it would be possible to live without that person. And now, that's the funny thing, when you've transformed the emotional part, there's no way you can still connect to that emotionally. So there's no emotional memory. And it's so funny because oh yeah, I've been there, but there's just no active emotional memory anymore. You can't feel it anymore.
Yeah.
That is really, really weird to experience.
It is weird. And that again happened to me 2-3 nights ago. I got a little triggered and I went for a walk. I'm like, I got to go for a walk. And I went for a walk. I went down to the beach. I sat on a log and I sat down like a little boy. I put my hands in my head, and I said, what are you feeling? And what are you feeling? And I said, anger. So I was like, okay, I'm going to feel the anger. And then it was like, poof, it was gone. Okay, what do you feel? Sadness. And I started feeling, and then it's gone. And it was weird because it was kind of funny, actually. It's I didn't feel very good, but I was like, well, this is funny. I mean, I'm right back where I started. It's me and the stars. There's a beach here, and I'm like, what are you worried about? Go back, go back and lay down, and, chill out.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The moment you acknowledge it fully and you allow it to be there without trying to push it away or without, you're just allowing it to be there, it just dissolves immediately. Yeah. It's only when you try, actually, and that is again the thing, trying and fighting and trying to control it and trying to get over it, that is what prolongs it. Yeah. So it's really this allowing of letting it be there, and it's a very good way how you do it, to just talk to your inner boy that just actually wants to be seen and acknowledged. And the more you do that, the more you also connect to the playful part of that boy, which
is the best part. That's
it's amazing part. And that's what I'm so looking forward to share that more and more, between all of us. And we've been like all, with what you do, with what Marco does, with Lindsay, with all these people sharing, me with my blog, everyone, what we have been doing is bringing everyone together so that we are connected and that we can find each other. And now we can really use this network for co-creation.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 1,000,000,000%. So you're wakeupexperience.com. You're kicking that. It looks like you're kicking that up a little bit. I mean, some of the stuff you've written. Yeah, I think the one I read last night was like 2 years old or something. I'm like, wow.
It's funny that it's like they're almost classics now.
Well,
it's I mean, I stopped with the Wake Up Experience about a year ago, a little bit less than a year. And for a long time, I just didn't know, okay, what am I going to do with this? And what amazed me was that actually the visitor numbers went up instead of down, although I had no activity on the website. So I was like, okay, this is really funny, because usually when you don't do anything, it just dies down and then it's done. And so I knew something's going to happen with this site. I just didn't know what. And so the first step now is also has to do with embodiment. And so a really good friend of mine, she's also live right now with us, Lisanne. So she's watching. I thank you so much for being the inspiration for the Wake Up Experience. So she wrote a blog, and it's the first one that is not written by me on the Wake Up Experience.
Oh, excellent.
And she shared her story. She shared because she has to deal with cancer. And she shared how actually cancer taught her so much and how it turned her life into a miracle. So she comes from a completely different perspective. And that is what I felt, this is what the next step is. It's not about the theory anymore or about, how this is all working. Now it's really about how do you deal with things you go through. And it's amazing what the reactions were and how she touched so many people, because it's just not what you expect, that someone with cancer and with such a heavy topic can bring so much beautiful energy over. So this was really a good start, and I already received 3 more stories that people want to share.
Wow.
So it's amazing to really see, okay, people also resonate with it, and they start to come out and they start to dare to be authentic and to share no matter what.
That's exactly right.
It's really beautiful.
That's exactly right. you know, and not by design, but that's what this 7 years for Soulogy's been. As I've watched it, and it's the experiential, you know, it's the experience of what I went through, or whoever's doing the writing or the talking, what they went through. And you're right. I woke up January 1st, and it's like no more theory, you know, no more pontificating, no more postulating. It's about, and that's what I came to. I came to the point where I watched this and I thought, wow, you know, so-and-so was on and we got activated, but the real activations are just a conversation of what's going on, man. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's like taking another leap, you know?
Yeah,
Morgan mentions this cat lady we saw last night. So we're sitting in the parking lot and we watched this lady pull up in the parking lot, and these 4 cats came out of nowhere. They just came up around her, and she's feeling around in her car. Turns out she's feeding them. And she's been here 27 years, and she has this whole routine where she feeds them. She goes and captures them to get them spaded, and she gives them, you know, she has this whole network set up to where she ships them to Seattle because they can't find homes for them. I mean, and you know, like Morgan was saying, it's just that's love. That's love, right? That's pure love, right there. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I'm absolutely sure Lisanne would be delighted to be on one of your shows sometime.
I would love to. I would love to with you, with her alone. You know, get and to get, you know, Gusty back on and see his perspective. You know.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're all coming together. You know, I mean, toward the end of the year, some of the people, Shakina was talking about the Blu-ray network is tightening. I mean, and I'm not caught up on these labels. I just know that, you know, I think you said it earlier, which I thought was a really good explanation. So I'll reiterate it, was that we came from up here, not up here in a hierarchy way, but in a higher dimensional way, and brought it into the body versus this mass awakenings coming from the body up. And I think that that group is tightening, that consciousness is tightening, that network is tightening. So, as you know, always, you know, ready to support you and Augusti and your friends and anyone as we continue to grow this thing. We're not going to talk about it. We're just going to do it. So exactly. That's what we do. You know, I think one of the other things that I think myself and others are starting to realize is that magic in a very big way could be created in the moment, in one very moment. And the last thing I'll say too, because you brought this up earlier, and with the wake up experience, I woke up too after the solstice, and I did a couple of shows, and I got a clear download, and it said, you guys, you know, the Veras, the Morgans, the Todds, the Augustus, everybody, the Amandas, the Shakinas, your work has been done already. The framework of your work energetically has been, and I actually saw it. I saw it projected out into what we might call the future. And so we cannot underestimate all that we've done. And so that, I think that gives some credence to what you said about on the surface shutting down for a year, but the reality was the energy kept going, and now look what's happening. So
and that is what the new mainframe is. That is our work that we all did together. We built that, but now it's like you say, now it's about embodiment. Now it's walking it. Now it's bringing it down to earth in a very down to earth way. So it's going to be much fun. I'm
going to steal that meme. bring it down to earth in a down to earth way. But that's real.
Yeah,
that's
it's about being real. It's about being real. It's about not being afraid to be real, and to dare to share. And that is why I'm so proud of people like Lisanne and people that now start contributing, really sharing their experience. And sometimes it's just downright scary. Because we've learned that it's not okay to think that way, or it's not okay to see it that way. And when you realize drama is gone, and it's just no longer possible to go down to that drama frequency. So that's really beautiful.
And that's nice. That's nice to see that. That's nice to see that going away too.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it. I don't know if there's anything you want to put out there while we're on here that you might have coming up, or anything. We direct everybody to awakenexperience.com.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Well, I'm just super happy that stuff is going so well for you guys as well. And I'm just curious how this is further going to grow together. I really feel this has a much bigger picture than what we can see right now.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. I really do. I think we're on the cusp on our end of it. I will say that, you know, we have learned since last summer that all the all the planning and all that stuff, you know, it's almost fruitless when we focus. And Morgan had to reiterate this to me again last night until I got back in my body, which is if we focus on the divine love, focus on loving each other, then we create, you know, she creates the golden particles, however that works in the womb, and it explodes and the magic comes. And I think that's what you're referring to. It's not only going to be curious as to what happens, but how it happens. You know, but definitely the ingredient that you talked about, whether it's in a person or in these partnerships that are going to be coming to the surface more and more, that is the basic component. That is creation. You know, that is birthing. So I'm excited. I'm excited about it, and so much of it doesn't have to be said. You know, we know we're headed that way, and
like I said before, I mean, the most important part now is to really know the physical stuff is normal, and what's going on right now, because the whole body is now really transforming, and we are going to have a light body that has completely new abilities. So that is really important to understand, that the body needs a lot of downtime because it's restructuring. And I just saw one question popping up from Lisanne, which fits to that, because she asked about the glands. And one big thing happening right now is that all the glands that we have are upgrading. So we also have a lot of like the hormonal imbalances, and it just needs time. And knowing that our glands are actually shifting into a way that we can use our body, because they are the ones that are distributing all the stuff we need in our body. So it's important to know that when you feel completely down, when you feel on a roller coaster ride because your hormones are going crazy, it's normal, because the glands are upgrading and they're completely under stress and confused right now. So thanks, Lisanne, for saying that with the glands. I think that's another thing that people can take away from here, to just know it's normal, and give your body a lot of time and space, and be that space holder, and really take good care of that physical part of you. The energetic part is ready to do that now. So
I'm glad you said that, and thank you for that question, because I thought I was just going through male menopause.
Well, it's the spiritual menopause.
Well, that's really good. You know, I want to reiterate that point, because I just got that at a different level now that you restated that. That's you know, because we've talked about it for 5 years or whatever. We're transforming into a light body, but now it's
happening.
You know, now it's actually. And so I think the two things come to mind. One is, like you said, is to give that the respect and really the honor, you know, and hold the space for it, but at the same time understand what's coming on the other end of that. Wow, that's amazing. Maybe that's how the borders go away. Is we just start, you know, we just start teleporting. Next time you ever.
Yeah, it's through the embodiment, through the infection of the old system. It's going to destroy itself, because what we have to offer is just so much more attractive, which is explained energetically. We don't, we just do what we love doing. We come together, we share. That's all we need to do. We don't need to build a whole new separate system.
That's right. That's your friend you're talking about, Lisanne?
Lisanne, yeah. The one with the laughing that she just posted.
Yeah, I'd love to have her on. Amazing. Yeah, we're about to ramp up. We're going to relocate tomorrow. Perfect. And Morgan's going to fill up the calendar
Yeah.
for the next 12 days, at least 3 shows a day. And hopefully
Beautiful.
after our meeting today, we can actually be doing this from our own site. And if not, we'll just keep doing it this way, because I'm not judging. I'm getting out of the way now. It's not my deal.
Exactly.
It's not my deal. Like you said, it's not my deal. So I'm just gonna go with it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vera.
Thank
I love you.
Todd.
It's always
Love
such
you
a
too.
pleasure talking
Big
to
hugs
you.
to both of you.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon again.
Yeah, and big hugs to Gusty and your puppies.
Thank you. Will do.
Take care.
You
Take care.
too. Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you, everybody.